Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 657. Today is October 8th, 2020. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined this evening by Christopher Guthridge.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey, what's up?
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
We have a good show lined up tonight. We have some some games to revisit. Brad's not here tonight, but we have some games to revisit that specifically Hades, which myself, Krispy, and Nolan haven't really had a chance to talk about with any hands-on impressions yet, because at the time none of us had actually started it yet. But now we've had some hands-on time with it, so we're going to talk about that.
No hands-on time with that butt.
Did I? You're throwing me off, Chris Davis. Why'd you have to say but?
Hades.
We're also going to talk about. I keep forgetting about that. We're going to talk about.
How can you forget about Hades?
I don't know. I block it out. Half the people listening to this show probably don't even know what we're talking about when we keep talking about Hades. Nobody remembers that big butt robot that we played.
I'm
fucking
pretty
years
certain
ago.
our chat remembers that.
I know we remember it. We're also going to talk about Star Wars Squadrons tonight, which. I think most of us here, with the exception of maybe no one technically came over to help me with some stuff, and he booted it up.
Played
and
it before
for
Nick.
He played it for like 20 minutes just to test some stuff on my computer. So I don't know if that counts, but most of us have been playing Star Wars Squadrons, so we'll talk about that. Before we get too far, I want to remind everybody that it is October, so in the spirit of Spooktober, for the Revival Club, we are playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We're actually doing a Castlevania double feature of Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. I started
but
Symphony
only
of the
one
Night.
of those is the good game.
I know. I mean, I played like an hour and a half of Rondo of Blood on the stream the other night.
You let Brad bull you into this, didn't you?
Well, no, I mean, I've always... Yes, I did, okay? Yes.
He's like, okay, you gotta play Symphony of the Night, but don't play Symphony of the Night until you played at least 3 hours of Rondo of Blood to really open up the flavor, activate the flavor.
What he wants you to do is he wants you to play Rondo so you hate yourself because the game's bad, and then you start playing Symphony of the Night, and you're like, oh, this is pretty good.
I mean, that's kind of the experience I had the other night. Like I said, I played like an hour and a half of Rondo of Blood, and that game is fucking hard. I mean, I feel like a lot of its difficulty stems from just the lack of control. I don't want to say lack of control, but you feel very limited in your movement and everything in that game, so you really have to be very careful. But it was. I will give it to Brad. It was a very interesting history lesson to go from classic 2D Castlevania to suddenly Symphony of the Night. Yeah, I know. Sorry, that's a 2D Castlevania as well. But you know what I mean. But like. It is a shift of genre, practically. I mean, it feels like a huge step. So, I'm playing it for the very first time. I'm very excited about that, and we're talking about it in Discord. If you're a supporter on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, or a Twitch subscriber, you're invited to play along and talk about it in Discord. I'll be looking for a guest to be on a podcast with me about that game in November. Brad has already committed to being on that show. As you can probably imagine, it wasn't very hard to twist his arm and get him on that show because he loves talking about Castlevania. So that's very exciting. And I think as far as like housekeeping goes, that's really all I have to mention. Let's talk about video games. First of all, how's everybody doing? Krispy, haven't had you on the show in a couple weeks. How you been doing?
Hey Nick, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. I like your hat.
Thanks. I just got it. And this is like we're talking about Star Wars games, so this is literally the only time in my life in which this might make sense to wear.
That's
so I went for it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Why don't we start by talking about Star Wars?
Okay.
It is a new release, and we've all. Yes, I do. I will say it sounds like both Chris's here have played quite a bit more of this game than I have.
Let me just. Yeah, I think I'm like ahead. 2 missions away from the end of the story mode.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
and then
the story's not super long, right?
It's not.
It's like 10 hours or something.
It's like 10 missions, yeah, and each mission is maybe an hour.
Oh,
gotcha. And well, there's also a prologue. But I have played a little bit of the multiplayer, which I guess is the main attraction here. But
I heard the multiplayer is kind of a mess right now.
Is it?
I mean, I don't know. I honestly have not booted it up, but I heard some people talking about it and saying that like maybe give it some time because they need to smooth out the experience a bit.
I'm gonna agree with that because it makes the horrible beatings that I received seem more dignified.
All right, cool. We'll just chalk it up to that then.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's broken. Dumb game, broken.
So how's the campaign been going?
Really good.
I
actually really like it. Yeah, I didn't I didn't have really any expectations for it. And the whole game itself, I was kind of worried was just gonna be like the starship mechanics from Battlefront, just kind of like ripped out and buffed up and sold. But it's a lot deeper. It's a little more involved than that. And the campaign, I think, is actually like a really solid, like Star Wars-y story. Like this feels like the first like really good single player Star Wars game that I've played in a long time, including Jedi Fallen Order, which I thought was a really good game, but just didn't like, click with a lot of people, I guess.
Yeah. I think that series in particular, or if we're going to call it a series, that series has a lot of potential for like to improve and become like a viable franchise. Yeah. I don't know how many Squadrons games we're going to get. But like so far right out of the gate, mechanically speaking, I'm pretty impressed. I will say I am playing it in VR, and I don't know if y'all had
VR footage.
I didn't know if y'all had any. So Chris Davis, you're playing it in VR?
Yes. And in fact,
did you have to buy it on?
Can't imagine playing it any other way.
Did you have to? Did you have to get it? Did you have to buy it on EA Origin to get it working for you?
No, I'm playing it on Steam.
I did. I bought it on Steam, and I could not get it. I could not get the game to run in VR when I had it on Steam, and I don't know what the fuck was going on. I refunded
VR.
Yeah, I did. I refunded the game, and I bought it again. I downloaded fucking EA Origin just so I could buy this game, which is that feels dirty. It feels dirty even saying that. But I got it working in VR. So that was a bit of a frustration. Krispy, did you say you're playing it in VR as well?
No, I haven't actually. I've been playing completely on television. I have the PSVR and I have the game on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. I just haven't had the opportunity to like rearrange my living room to set it up.
Yeah.
But I really want to, and it definitely feels like I should be.
Yeah.
Like the game feels like a VR game through and through.
It is.
It does.
It's really fucking good. The visual fidelity, it's like you wouldn't expect it for like a $40 game, but like
it's a good looking game in VR. I will say one of the things, so I feel like it's a bit odd, and maybe this is because this I'm sure I'm playing it with I've never played a VR game on at least on PC, like with my Oculus, where I'm controlling the game with a controller, but I'm wearing the headset and I'm not like having to stand up or anything, which is nice. It's a very relaxing VR game to play because I can just sit in my chair and play without having to worry about getting the proper rooms and everything, which is cool. But it's a little strange because it feels like maybe some missed potential. I feel like it'd be cool to like control, like be able to like use like the actual Oculus controllers to like pull. Like I thought it was gonna be a little bit more sim-ish, where you're actually like, because you have the full cockpit view. You can look around the cockpit and see everything.
Okay.
So I kind of
play it with like a flight stick.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, you can do a HOTAS.
But what is the experience like when you do that though?
Probably pretty fucking good.
I imagine it's probably a little better than controller. It took me a minute to kind of like find a setup that worked for me, and I think even now, like I think the way I fly is mostly informed by the fact that I'm just using 2 joysticks on a controller, because I'm not getting that kind of like it's harder for me to do that thing that's really easy with a flight stick, where like you're adjusting like pitch and yaw and like turning at the same time. So instead of just doing like these flat turns, you're kind of like angling and banking into them, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little trickier to do that on a controller the way they have it set up.
Yeah.
So like that's where a flight stick would really come in handy. But it's a little more arcadey in the fact that like you kind of don't need to do that, it seems like you're not, you know, you're flying a spaceship, you're not like worrying about wind resistance or drag or anything like that. So you can literally just like sit there and like turn however you want. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much that style matters.
You're right. And one thing I've kind of had to get used to, especially playing in VR, is because for the first little while I was playing it, I wasn't taking full advantage of the ability to like kind of look up out the canopy and like orient myself by like looking in different directions. But you really kind of have to at some point. I do want to switch and play it just like normal style too, just so I can kind of see how that translates. But like in a dogfight, like there's so many times where I've like placed myself or like kind of figured out where I am in relation to like a TIE fighter by like looking at the right side of my ship and actually seeing it, and then figuring out which way I want to bank based on that,
and then pulling the ship in line with like your line of sight.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, I've played other like Starfighter games before with VR, and that is like the big strength there. It's like being able to like have that like full situational awareness and see out the canopy and use like, instead of having to use a stick to control your camera, like finding your targets pretty naturally. And that feels really good. That's the thing that I'm really missing by playing on TV. Like I feel like I wish I could do that. Because it's not intuitive to move your camera around inside the cockpit at all. And the other thing that I was really curious about with the VR is like, what are TIE fighters like then? You know, and like Y-wings, because Y-wings don't have open canopies. They have like a solid top. And in a TIE fighter, you're like in a fucking capsule with like a window in front of you. So like, is VR kind of lost on those ships?
Well, no, I mean the first mission of the game,
I was gonna say it depends on the VR configuration that you want to go with, or the gameplay setup you want. Because there's two main modes. There's the visual kind of standard assistance mode, to where in addition to having your instruments and what appears in the cockpit, there'll also be indicators that'll be followed around based on where you're looking with the headset. You know, so you can track where an enemy is visually.
Yeah.
Or you can go just to an instruments mode, which is just that. Just what you see on your cockpit radar. So,
which is what I've been playing with.
Still using the HUD to look at enemies through the hull of your ship. It's just you're staring at like the interior of the TIE fighter instead of out into space.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like my before I even touched like this game, or before I even like booted up the game and started playing, or had any feel for what the VR was like, it asks you if you know, it gives you the VR settings, and it's like, okay, I don't want to turn off snap turn, and then it's like, and then it asks you if you want to like what kind of HUD you want, whether you want it to be restricted HUD, where it's literally just what you see in your canopy. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to regret this decision, but I feel like that's the way to play it. So I've been playing with just which is where a little bit of my disappointment comes in. And again, this might be something that is more tailored towards playing with a flight stick, but I feel like if you're gonna do that, you really should have more like, I thought I was gonna be able to like flick switches and, you know, actually like pull, like have control, you know what I mean? Like, which I feel like would be hard with a controller. But again, which is why I was surprised I wasn't able to use something like the Oculus controllers, where I feel like you have a little bit more hand control. In all honesty,
Nick, the reason they probably did it that way is because this game was going to be on everything.
Yeah,
you know, this is on PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox,
and I'll give it to them.
X,
and what they were doing, they accomplished it all. It was pretty cool.
I do like that you have the kind of added depth of like the like routing power to different systems to get different effects out of your ship, like
which
shields forward and back.
Yeah, so use the D-pad to like
you can angle the deflectors.
So I haven't like figured out a lot of the idiosyncrasies yet, because I've only played like 2 missions really. You know, you can hit the directions on the D-pad to either balance the powers between armor, speed and offensive capability or
weapons,
weaponry.
shields, and thrusters.
So
engines.
I'm constantly having to like, maybe I'm just really bad at this, but like I'm constantly having to be like, okay, I want to do this. I should probably draw energy to this part of, or to speed or whatever, and I have to like think for a split second while I'm getting like pelted with laser fire to like, okay, which direction do I have to hit? Oh yes, it's this one. And I don't know, I just feel really sluggish in that department. Maybe I'll get better at it. I assume I will get better at it.
Yeah.
You think a pilot just jumps in an X-wing for the first time and knows exactly what buttons they need to press immediately, Nick?
Even though they're like color coded and labeled for you.
I mean, also like that is literally like, it also says, like they said something early on when I was playing a mission where it's like they've locked onto you and they fired a missile, and it's like you can press B to like deploy the countermeasures, defensive countermeasures, and you have to do it right as the missile's on you, and it says to pay attention to your display for your the missile trajectory or whatever. And I was like, where the fuck is that? I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking. And I was like, now I'm wondering, was that in the like actual HUD that I have opted out of, or is there?
Yes.
You turned off the HUD. Oh,
yeah,
I missed that part, dude. Yeah,
I'm playing
fucked.
pure canopy.
Why would you do that?
Because
you're
so
not good
immersive.
enough for that, Nick. We're
It's
not
so immersive.
We are not good enough for that. That's
I
not
know.
for us.
But
I'm doing it.
That's a mode that you play like New Game Plus.
Yeah,
Once
that's
you
like
figure out everything about the game, then you should do that.
Because that missile thing is super easy to do with the HUD, because it actually has like an indicator that shows you how close the missile's getting.
But like, maybe I'm just better than y'all.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's definitely not true.
I know it's really not.
I think we know that.
I think I'm terrible at this game so far. But maybe I just wanted to have, because I'm like, I know I'm only going to play this game probably once, at least right now. So like, I kind of want to get.
It's not a very long campaign. Like you should.
I know.
It's good. Like it's interesting.
It is a good campaign so far. I mean, it's like some of the. I mean, I've only kind of dabbled.
I like how all the rebel characters are like have a lot of personality and are really likable, and then all of the Imperial characters are just different flavors of evil. Like they all suck. Like the squad leader's kind of cool. You're like, you seem like a pretty level-headed guy, and then like all of your squad mates are just like psychopaths, like literally just like psychopaths.
Tell you what, I really appreciate how they handle scale in this game. They get it so right.
Oh, you know what? I was going to talk about that, and I disagree.
Really?
Not I disagree, but I was just watching this footage, and it reminded me of a thought I was having while I was playing the game. This mission opens up with you trying to punch through an Imperial line to get close to a base, right? So you have to line up behind the Star Destroyer, you have to charge your engines, and then you have to do like a boost where you're flying under the Star Destroyer, like dodging its surface cannons, and you have to like jet past it, get out of its firing range, and keep going forward, right? Really cool cinematic moment. I really love that part of the game. But as I'm flying under it, I'm going like, the Star Destroyer isn't big enough. Like, this is not big enough.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to episode 4, like the very beginning of episode 4, that flyover when the fucking Star Destroyer's chasing after the blockade runner. That thing is huge.
I mean, yeah.
That shot lasts for a while, and like you zoom by Star Destroyers like that. I feel like
I hadn't quite put my finger on that.
And I wonder if it's a screen thing, or I wonder if like, you know how things look more like their real size in VR. It's like, oh wow, I can actually feel the presence of this.
So that's
now.
something I wanted to bring up. Is like think about like back when we played VR for the first time, we were doing that one Until Dawn, like arcade shooter roller coaster thing.
Oh
on rails or whatever. And when you're watching someone play it, it's like, oh okay, cool. But when you're in it, like it fucking looks huge.
I will say this:
maybe in VR it's a little bit different.
I kind of got the feeling that the Star Destroyers felt smaller than they should be, but at the same time, you're going so damn fast in this X-wing that I rarely actually notice it.
Yeah, and it's like you also don't really have anything else to judge how fast you're going because you're just in space, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like
sometimes I feel like I'm going slow.
Maybe you're really fucking ripping. Like
sometimes I feel like I'm going slow, and then I go past something else, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm going pretty fast.
That was pretty close. I did want to address something else. I was talking about the characters, and I was like, oh, all the Imperial people are evil, and it's like, I'm not one of those guys that are like, oh, I want a sympathetic view of the Empire. I think that's more interesting because I honestly think that the Star Wars mythos just isn't built for that. It doesn't work because the Empire is so cartoonishly like amorphously evil. They don't even have like a philosophy. They're literally just like, we're the bad guys, and like
I disagree.
I don't. What? No, they are the bad guys. Like,
no,
what I'm saying is you're dealing with Imperial characters. So this game takes place after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Right? You're dealing with characters who like stayed in the Empire after Alderaan, stayed in the Empire after like everything that was going on in fucking Empire Strikes Back, stayed in the Empire after they built a second Death Star. And are still loyal Imperials. Like, that's like voting for Trump in 2020. It's like, you're just a bad person. Like, you're not, like, you're just bad to the core. Like, there's like no redeeming quality to that character.
Yep,
so, like, I don't think you can do, like, I'm not saying I think that those characters should have been sympathetic. I don't know how you do that. I've read books where they try to do it and it doesn't work. Like,
I feel like we've seen them try to do it so often and then no one's really pulled it off.
And
so that's kind of like, why do they keep trying?
It's only worked once. Only worked once, and it was with the original TIE Fighter. That was the only game that did it. And even then, the only reason it worked because they gave you almost zero personality.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like the two characters you play aren't anything. They're just stand-ins for you. They're not characters.
Right.
So like
the characters in this game are the other members of your squad that
I don't have any sympathy like for my Imperial pilot character because they're just like nothing, you know, and her squad mates are all just like fucking wild, like wildly evil people, and you're just like, yeah, I mean, I don't understand why a writer would even try to do that, really. I mean, I get that like the two sides narrative, the two sides like showing people in a human conflict like is really compelling storytelling, and there's a lot of stories that do that pretty well. I think Mobile Suit Gundam is an excellent example of that, where you've got one side that really are like fascists and evil and like not good people, but like the stories around them are much more complicated than just like, we're gonna do whatever the most evil fucking thing in the world is because our emperor's literally like an evil god. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Fingers.
Like, yeah, who believes in evil as an ideal, like, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think it works in Star Wars as well as it does in anything else. And I think it's also kind of like a edgy, like it's kind of a weird line to walk anyway, you know? Because you can't, like, with the Empire, what do you do? Like, what do you fucking do that makes them sympathetic? They literally just like genocide people with a giant murder space station that they call the Death Star.
No, obviously, yeah, it's called the fucking Death Star.
Like, you know, I've never really sat to like think about that. It's just Death Star.
But
it's
like nobody, like nobody who was working on that thing was like, this thing's called the Death Star.
Maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
The Death Star, like, yeah. I mean. Like, we're getting a pretty unique lesson in like the apathy of evil nowadays. So I mean, I guess there's a bit more stretch to that than I'm giving it. But yeah, it's like in Star Wars stories, anything that takes place after the first movie, it's like if you're still an Imperial after they blew up Alderaan, like, who are you? Like, what are you? You know,
which ties into
right? If you're cool after they put kids in cages and separated from their parents, I mean, like, who are you?
There we go.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
it's
man.
It's made up.
Boat, am I right?
Even be real.
It's made up. Yeah, I mean, is that it? You're just like, I don't believe that happened.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you'd have to do. But...
I mean, again, I think
Alderon's a myth.
Or if they were like the rebels built this giant station and blew up their own planet just to make us look like dicks. Like
Krispy, Alderaan was a hoax. Okay, Alderaan was a fucking
hoax. That really would be the thing, wouldn't it? Alderaan. That's a weird like headcanon for Star Wars that like that must have been going on, but we didn't really see any of it, you know, because that's the only way that this makes sense.
I mean, have you ever even seen Alderaan, Krispy?
I've never been. I don't know that it's even out there. You're right.
Tell you what, there's a great subreddit called Empire Did Nothing Wrong.
Dude,
really
but this mission right here is a perfect example because you know, as a pilot setting out on this mission that your only objective is to track down freighters filled with Alderaan refugees so you can kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to kill the refugees from Alderaan because we killed Alderaan and we can't have these people running around telling everybody how fucking horrible it is. Yes, that's what you're doing.
Jesus Christ.
In the prologue mission, your squad leader, you play an Imperial pilot. Yeah, you play as an Imperial pilot. And in the prologue mission, your squad leader, this takes place right after Alderaan, your squad leader defects in the middle of the mission and helps the refugees escape. And then he becomes the general character that you're taking orders from as a rebel in the rest of the game.
Gotcha.
Which is it's like he literally just like watched them blow up the planet and was like, nah, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, like he starts and he's you talk to him before the mission and he's talking and he's like, okay, so we're hunting down refugees. Okay. Yeah. We're hunting down refugees. And then you get out there on the mission and he's like, I'm done with this. And he like helps the refugees escape. And all the Imperials are like, you dick! Like, you're an asshole! Why would you do that? I don't know. It's just...
So, here's my question for someone... Weird. For you, as someone who has played the majority of this game story-wise now, it's maybe a layered question. One, do they do anything interesting with the story? Despite even, I'm not saying it needs to be perfect or anything, but does it tell a compelling story?
I don't think it's a super deep story, but I think it's compelling. I like it because the whole emotional crux of the story is between that character, the squad leader who defects in the beginning, and like his former protege who's now an Imperial captain.
Which is interesting because you are the lens in which you're watching the story instead of the story being about you per se.
Right. And like that Imperial captain character, I don't remember her name, but like when you start the Imperial missions, like after the time jump to after Return of the Jedi, it's like she calls you up because she's like, hey, you were a pilot in that mission. You know, the one when what's his face fucking stabbed me in the back. So I know you're good and I want you to be on my new squadron. And the whole thing is like this personal vendetta between the two, but the actual proxy conflict that they're playing that out in is the rebels have built a giant super weapon battleship that they're going to use to try to mop up the Imperial remnants. Except instead of like being a giant battleship that shoots lasers, it's a giant battleship that has a massive tractor beam that they can just use to like pull ships out.
I really wish you wouldn't have told me that. I was getting to the point where they were about to say that.
Oh, okay, whatever. I'm sorry.
Surprise,
Crispy.
Sorry.
When the Imperial squad leader defects, does he release information that Lord Vader's only paid 750 credits to the Empire
in taxes?
Yet somehow his entire stay at the Emperor Palpatine Surgical Reconstruction Center was covered when he got his
but he didn't pay taxes.
Yeah. Only 750 credits. That's it.
Well, to be fair, at the time he was the member of a religious sect, and they don't have to pay taxes ever. So,
and his entire armor and life support system was written off as a loss.
Right, funded by the taxpayers.
This is an incredible segue.
You know what though? Like
I want to say something.
At least the Empire dissolved the Senate. I mean, I'm just. I'm sorry. Anyway,
don't apologize for that, Crispy. That was brilliant.
I just want to reiterate again. This is like a very nice tribute to the classic X-wing and TIE fighter games. It knocks down the difficulty significantly from those.
Makes it more
less
accessible.
sim aspects, but makes it playable and fun in 2020.
So. This is going to be my first time playing one of those types of Star Wars games. So in that sense, I'm very excited. So quick question, having played 2 missions so far, are you seeing a lot of variety in terms of like the backdrops for these missions, or are they all like, do you ever like go down like closer to the surface of a planet or something?
You want to know
like,
the atmosphere of dogfight.
Without specifics.
You're always in space.
Okay, you're always in space.
Some of the some of the encounter areas are pretty interesting. Like there's a really cool like nebula that you end up having a fight in one time. One thing I have heard but not experienced myself is that some of the multiplayer maps maybe seem a little too small.
Which is
like,
weird because you're in space.
Right. Well, I mean, they obviously have boundaries, you know, but not just small in the sense of like the boundaries are too small, but also like they're just like chock full of shit, like debris and stuff that's like kind of hard to maneuver around. And the weird thing is like, I don't, I mean, it definitely breaks immersion, but I don't know that it's a bad idea that they did this. But they made it so that like when you run into stuff, it doesn't like you just kind of like bounce off.
You kind of like bounce off of it, yeah. Unless you're like super low on health already.
It's weird, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind
I think that goes into what Chris Davis was talking about in terms of making it a bit more accessible. Making more approachable because especially I would imagine. Well, maybe I don't want you to tell me. I feel like I imagine there's probably a mission somewhere in here in an asteroid field, and if that was the case, I feel like you'd be bouncing off of, or like you'd be dying every 2 seconds.
This mission right here.
You think there's a mission in an asteroid field? Do you know?
There's gotta be, right?
What the odds of successfully navigating an asteroid field here are?
How can you not do that then?
4,370 to 1.
Tell me the odds.
Oh my god.
It's like 23,000. I don't know what it is.
Quote it, Krispy. Quote it. I know.
I don't know. I
27 in there.
Somebody look it up.
23,700. I don't know.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to playing more of this. It's a pretty cool experience. I will say this: we kind of briefly talked about the size of the Star Destroyers and whatnot, but like I will say this: when you are playing in VR, going back to what Nolan was saying, comparing it to Festival or not Festival, whatever that Until Dawn thing was, like there is a great sense of scale in this game, especially like when you do. And it's also a really cool feeling when you do sit into a cockpit and you're just able to kind of look around the canopy, and then like when you take off out of the like first of all, you also got to think like all the things that kind of comes with it is you're playing a Star Wars game, so you're going into light speed, right? And you're having that experience with like the blue star line stretching out at you, like that's happening in first person in VR, which is really cool. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I do want to play this. I think you take a bit of a graphical hit when you play it in VR. I mean, you obviously do. Yeah. It gets a little blurrier, a little fuzzier or whatnot. And I think, I think visually speaking, this is kind of a beautiful game. So I would imagine playing it, outside of VR, it probably looks quite a bit better. So I do want to try that. But there's really nothing quite like being in the canopy and, flying over a planet. Like the planets feel huge in VR, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more.
We should do a multiplayer night because I hear there's like co-op missions you can do.
Well, Crispy's playing on PS4.
Yeah, but I'm on PC.
Is it cross-platform? That's probably a dumb question.
Probably not.
I don't know, but why shouldn't it be?
I mean,
it should be.
I mean, this was a budget Star Wars game to begin with. I mean, they just announced that this game is not getting any post-release DLC. Like, this is the game. This is it.
It's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it says it is crossplay.
I mean, it's one of those things, though, where it's like if they really wanted to add more ships or something, they could just make another game.
I mean, they could. I don't trust EA to do anything smart with Star Wars.
Well, hey, this is a smart thing. I think this product is a smart move. I mean,
I think the only reason this project exists is because they had so many leftover resources and tools from Battlefront 2 that they just were able to recycle it into a new game. And if you pay attention, there's a shitload of that content in there. Like, even down to like basic sound effects like hit markers and getting damage and things like that. Those are pulled straight from Battlefront 2.
But, I mean, let's think about it. Like, Star Wars as a franchise is not, like, recycling sound effects is not something that's new to Star Wars. Many of these sound effects.
Very specific sound effects. Like, stuff that was not part of the Star Wars universe, like that was put in for, like, a Battlefront game.
Hey, I'm just going to say this. For EA and Star Wars, we have had 2 solid Star Wars games within a year of each other.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I feel like it's a fluke.
out of
I-
like
You're
6
right.
years of having the franchise and how many games have
Dead in
they
the water.
done?
I know
Like,
it's not ideal, but I will. It's cool.
I
I'm
definitely
glad we're
like.
finally getting some quality Star Wars content.
I'm glad that we're getting decent Star Wars games, but I think what Chris Davis is saying has a ring of truth to it in that like you can always count on EA
Oh yeah, that
doing
still
things
holds
as
true.
cheap as possible. Like
That's true.
cost effective.
I mean, I am surprised honestly that this game is selling for $40 and not the full 60. Because I mean, I feel like EA.
I don't know if there's really. Yeah,
I mean, what about this game to you screams $40 versus $60? I feel like they could have sold this at $60 and nobody would have batted an eye.
I think
what they should have done with marketing with this game, again, because the VR experience is so good, they should have marketed it as a Star Wars cockpit VR game and just said, oh, by the way, you can play this without VR. And then that price would have like been just right in everybody's eyes.
see. I think this kind of game really is correctly priced. There's not a lot going on outside of like the 10 story missions and like the multiplayer mode, which right now is, you get what, like 5 or 6 ships on each side, and you've got like 10 something maps that you can play on. Like,
I'm just saying, like,
I think this kind of game was either going to be $40 or it was going to be free to play with like battle passes and supported content until the end of time. And I don't see this game succeeding at $60 because I don't think a lot of things can succeed at $60 anymore. Like,
yeah, you're probably right.
I just don't see it.
It's got to have a $100 million marketing campaign behind it for it can actually.
It just seems like an unusual move for EA because I feel like EA is one to like, money grab. All right,
This
well,
is the money grab.
You're right. It's true. Anyways, let's shift gears a little bit. Oh no, Maggie wants to be let out again.
Maggie!
So actually, she doesn't. She's literally just sitting behind my chair yelling.
Does your cat smoke 2 packs of cigarette a day?
Maybe she did when she was younger. All right, let's shift gears. Let's revisit Hades now that we've 3 of us here haven't talked about it yet. So let's where are y'all standing on Hades? This is a lot of people are a lot of game of the year talk swirling around this game.
Dude, it's pretty good.
Even among our own community. So how much have y'all played?
I'm
4
actually
hours.
looking at that right now. I have played 7 hours. So not a whole lot. But
how are you finding it?
I love it. It's so good. Like I'm really into it.
I'm digging it too. And maybe this is just I'm really liking it. I like when I'm physically the act of playing it, I'm really enjoying. This is not something I said last week. I haven't played many games like this. So maybe I'm struggling a little bit with the loop a little bit. What's up, no one?
That's something I wanted to talk about, Nick. And you kind of hit the nail on the head for me. When I'm playing it, I'm fucking really into it. But like when I sit it down and go do something else, I don't have the itch to play it. That's the kind of weird feeling I'm getting from this. And I know some people disagree with me, and I know some people are constantly wanting to play it, and that's fine. But for some reason, like I'm enjoying the story, I'm enjoying the gameplay, I'm enjoying the music, I'm enjoying the art style. Like there's nothing about this game that I don't like, but I don't have the urge to play it when I'm not playing it.
You know what's weird? And I don't know if this has anything to do with the game itself or even what you're experiencing necessarily, but like that's kind of the way I've felt about every Supergiant game I've ever played. Like I like it a lot when I'm playing it. I think everything about them is like well made, but I don't finish half of them because when I'm not playing it, I'm not thinking about playing it. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case here because it was also kind of implied. I was talking about this in Discord earlier, and Brad was in there and whatnot. And a lot of people were saying, there is a bit of a hump you kind of have to get over before it like really sinks its teeth in. And
so what I will say, Nick, is that
you are farther than me.
Yeah, this is a story-based game. So yes, the farther you get, the more people you interact with, like things start to happen. Story starts to like envelop, and you start to meet new characters and meet like new plot points happen, and there are things that happen at outside of, so when you're actually in hell. So in hell as of right now, Nick, for you, you're just in what's his face, fucking
Yeah, what is that area?
oh my god, Hades. You're in his chamber, right?
Right.
And then like sometimes Nox is off to the or Nyx is off to the side, and whatever. And then you go to your bedroom, and then you go and you do another run. But shit starts to happen where you start exploring more areas and meeting new people, and story beats start happening there, and you get to know people a little bit better. I doubt. Have you interacted with Chaos? I doubt it, right?
I ran into Chaos yesterday for the first time, which is cool. Little surprises like that are a really nice touch, and it's also like they do a really good job of the way you meet Chaos, and like the way you just kind of stumble across a thing that kind of appears in a room that you've been through a million times, but you've never seen it before, and then you approach it, and it's like, well, you can go through this, you can step across this line and see what's beyond this door. But you have to sacrifice, like, what was it, like 20 points of health or something?
Health. And
I was like, holy shit, 20 points of health. That's
almost
lot.
like half your health.
But like, I did feel that itch of like, but I want to
know. Yeah.
So I fucking did it. And like, that's a really cool feeling. There's a lot of stuff like that in the game, which is great. What I'm struggling with, and this is why I just, I've never really gotten into roguelikes, I guess, is like, I don't yet feel like there's much progression. I know there is in terms of story and characters and stuff, but like I don't feel like I'm getting any better or stronger. I know I'm unlocking new weapons and stuff, but
there's there's a few progression systems, and you have to play a little bit to unlock them from the contractor.
And that's what I feel like I'm getting to, and that's where I think it's going to really take off for me.
So there's a few things where like in a couple runs, you're going to start getting to the point where like you've got all these different types of currency, and you can be using them on different things. Like you can be using keys to unlock new perks in the mirror. You can be using, you get the book in his room. Like he gets what is that? A journal?
It's like a journal that
with the prophecies and stuff.
Yeah, the prophecies,
Yeah. So you get the prophecies that are like challenges that you can start working on that give you different boons. There's a lot of wheels within wheels, and it kind of dishes them out as you like keep dying.
Right.
So I think you're right on the edge of like really beginning the game.
Because like I said, like I'm really enjoying the act of playing it, and I feel like that moment, that click is coming, where it's just gonna like make total sense. Everything's gonna lock into place. I'm gonna be hooked. Just haven't quite gotten there yet. But still, really, really surprised. Now that I've actually played it to like as a super giant game, it's so snappy. It's so fast paced, and it feels so good to control.
I'm like, this one was a big surprise for me, because this is like when they announced it and were showing it at like whatever the Game Awards or whatever, everyone was like real jazzed on it. And looking at it, I'm just kind of like, I don't really care. But playing it, I was like blown away. It's so fun. And I didn't think I was going to be into like the whole Greek mythology thing or whatever, but like they have a really interesting, fun take on it. And I enjoy all the characters and the interaction.
It's cool, like when you die, and this is just like a little detail, like a little flourish that I like every time you die and you see him emerge from the pool of blood back in the chambers. I was like, and he like shakes it out of his hair. He's like, all right, well that was fun. Like it's just cool. Like everything about it's cool.
The thing about that is everything is intertwined. I think Brad brought up a little bit, but anytime like when you die, like everything has context. So when you die to a certain enemy type, sometimes the next time you encounter them, it's like, them again. Like, he'll bring up the fact that he died to them, or, comments will be made about if you die to a boss, when you go back, someone will be talking to you about the boss you were just defeated by. Just like any time you interact with anything or anyone, like the first time you encounter the bull guy, I forget his name. He's like, oh, well, I thought you. Yeah,
the Minotaur.
Yeah, the Minotaur. It's like, oh, I thought you were the champion, and it's like, no, I'm not. Blah blah blah. And like you encounter him again if you lose to him, or I guess even if you do beat defeat him, you still have to maybe potentially encounter him again when you're going on another run, but you'll have that conversation about the last time you met and blah blah blah. If you were defeated by him, or if you beat him, it's the same with like Meg, and I'm sure you'll probably encounter Meg more than anyone else because she's the first one you interact with. But constantly, like, oh, I see that you got, I see that you've now encountered Chaos, and you'll have a conversation about that now. And so,
yeah, I'm really surprised by like just how I don't feel like I'm running out of dialogue. I don't feel like I'm ever going to run out of dialogue. It just feels like it feels kind of like a living, breathing world, and it's just kind of, it's just they're going to keep saying new things. And you know, usually when I think about stuff like that, it's on games like, you know, like Red Dead Redemption 2, where I was just like, these people never repeat the same fucking things. It's just always new stuff. But like that's a much bigger game as far as like scope goes. But like this game is so dense and so meticulously designed, which is, yeah, I'm just really impressed. I'm just all around really impressed. I hope it really gets its hooks in me soon, because I don't want to fall off of this game. But here's my question. Again, roguelike noob here. So I have to fight these bosses. When I beat a boss, I have to fight the boss again next time.
Yep. So the point
that
is,
doesn't
Nick,
suck.
The point is, Nick, is like Krispy was saying, it depends on how you play the game first off. But so focus on the purple. What is that stuff called?
The keys? Oh no,
Darkness?
I see it.
Yeah, the darkness and the keys. Those should be the two main focuses right now, because the keys allow you to unlock more perks at your mirror, and the darkness allows you to like equip those essentially. And so now you get more health every time you enter a room, and now you do more damage when you hit someone from the back. And so it's slowly you're becoming more and more powerful.
Sorry.
What? I missed something.
Nothing. You said you do more damage when you hit someone from the back, and that was just I
Sure.
couldn't.
I mean, so look at this, Nick. Look how quickly. I mean, I don't want to say I defeat Meg in like half a second, but I mean,
show me, Nolan.
Here much more quickly than I have in previous runs. But that's because A, I am more powerful, and B, I have a good set of boons.
So where are you becoming more powerful is my question. Because I'm still rolling with the same number of like this. I'm doing the same damage with the same amount of HP every time I go in these runs, and so I feel like I'm missing something.
So it's a combination of things. So it is when you gift the nectar or whatever,
the nectar.
Yeah, the nectar to gods. They will generally give you an item. Those items help you. They do some sort of benefit to you.
Do you have to equip them, or do they when they gift them to you, you just have them?
You can only equip one at a time. So in your weapon room,
there's so much to learn in this game. By the way,
yeah, to the left of the sword is like a this thing. It's like a little keepsake box, and you can get those. And like Crispy said, when you talk to the contractor and you give him gems, you can unlock things. Like I unlocked the ability to access my keepsake between levels of hell. I wasn't able to do that before. So it's all about unlocking things so that you now have access to them on your next run, so that you can maybe try to make combinations. So like one of the keepsakes is like, hey, your next boon is guaranteed to be from this god. So you can maybe play on that. You can try and grab a keepsake that will like, oh, now I'm going to get boons that try to get boons that play off of each other well to, increase your strength more, to get good combinations. And it's also one of those things where it's roguelike, so it is kind of randomized. So there are definitely times where you are going to have a very good set of boons that play well off of each other that just make the game easier to an extent.
Gotcha. And the next time you may be screwed.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it's all about also like, having good interactions, having good fights, getting lucky with drops. And it's a lot of that.
I mean, I will say this, when I take a hit in this game, I feel it, and I kick myself sometimes. Like, God damn, why did I let myself take that damage? It sucks, because sometimes I get and I get this happens every once in a while in some games where I just like, I forgot. It's when I was playing Castlevania Rondo of Blood the other day, and Brad was watching me, and I was like getting really frustrated at one point because I kept doing this thing over and over again, and I kept failing. But it's like the moment you take at the very beginning of something, you take too much damage, it's just kind of like, why don't I just restart the whole run?
Yeah,
because there's no way I'm going to be able to do all the stuff that comes after it.
So yes and no. So yes, the run might not be as good as you want, but you might in the next room get something that gives you a bunch of health.
Yeah, there's a
and
lot.
the
There's a
next-
lot of ways to recoup that, which
even
is
if you
nice.
don't get through 5 layers of hell, you're still going to unlock some darkness along the way. You're still going to unlock some gems and some
You're not going to walk out empty-handed.
keys. Exactly. You're always going to make a little bit of progress, and that's what this is about. It's just little bits of progress every time you go, that help you out either in the immediate, in the interim right now, or later on.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm enjoying it. I apologize to Brad. This is not my favorite game of all time. Maybe that will change, but as of right now, for me, it's just a really good game.
Yeah, it's pretty damn solid. All right, switch gears again. Here we go. This one's for Carlos. I played a game this week that Carlos gifted me like 2 years ago, and I finally played it on the stream all the way through. I don't know how much I'm gonna have to say about it because it is an indie horror game. It's a Carlos indie horror game called Lost in Vivo. This is a game where you chase your dog into the sewer. It's your service dog. He gets off his leash, he runs into the sewer, and you follow him into the sewer. And then you find a bunch of... I don't know. They never really specify. This is also... This is kind of a weird... One of those weird, like, you don't have a lot of context. Everything... Like, all of the messaging, all of the themes of the game are very kind of on the periphery. Like, you kind of have to just kind of pick them up. And, like, there's a lot of stuff... There's a lot of... Like, you read lots of notes, and they're all... It's very... This game draws a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill, like a ton. So if you've ever played a Silent Hill game or know kind of like their approach to horror, this is very much what this is. Like you're reading all these notes that like don't make a lot of sense, which kind of in and of themselves makes them creepy. Because you're like, who wrote this? Why did they leave this here? What are they talking about? And then you're at the same time you're running into all these like really, you're having all these really weird mindfuck moments, like walking through a door and then turning around and the door is gone. And you're just like, okay, that's bizarre. And as you go deeper and deeper and like into the sewer looking for your dog, you're like, just the more and more fucked up shit starts to happen, and it really fucks with your head. What this game does really well, because if you're watching the footage, doesn't have the biggest budget, but they have a really definitive like art style to it, and it's one of those like really cool, like I don't know how to describe it. Like kind of like pixely, like God, I wish I could think of a better word to describe this, but like minimalistic art style, but it works really well. But what they do really effectively is they scare you with sound. The audio design in this game is phenomenal, and there's a lot of directional audio too. So if you're gonna play it, play it with headphones. Really cool experience. Like there's even like at the beginning when you first go into the sewer, you're looking for your dog and you're going through all these like tunnels and there's all these different directions you can go. They all kind of look the same, and you can hit the space bar to like whistle, and then your dog will bark, and you have to kind of like sniff it out, like kind of like try and figure out which direction you think it's coming from and then follow it. By the way, the footage that you're watching was from New Game Plus. Apparently, all kinds of weird new shit happens in New Game Plus that I wasn't aware of. So I went into a safe room. And I got attacked by this weird flying bat thing, and I used all of my shotgun shells on it, and that was fun. So, not really a lot I can say about this game mechanically, because it really is just kind of a guided horror experience. It's just kind of like tumbling down the rabbit hole looking for your lost doggy. But a lot of really cool mindfuck moments that are worth playing this game for. It's one of the first games I'm playing for. We're not really doing an official like horror month or anything, but I'm going to be trying to play a lot of horror games throughout October. This one has been on my backlog for a while because Carlos gifted it to me, and it's definitely worthwhile. This game scared the shit out of me many times because it does a couple things really effectively. One, it likes to make you feel like you're being chased, even if you can't see something. Like the audio makes you feel like something's breathing down your neck. Which is really cool. Also on the subway, like creepy shit like this, the train's going by and there's a dude on it with your dog. really fucked up. They also do that thing, which I've seen done many times in games, where there's suddenly a monster that can only move, or like if you let it out of your line of sight, it disappears. But like when you're looking at it, it doesn't move. Like that kind of shit fucks me up. And this game does that stuff really, really well. But and you're picking up tapes. You're picking up these lost tapes, and when you pop the tapes into like a cassette player, it transports you to another world, and it tells you like really, really short standalone stories that I don't think have any context to the actual game itself, like the story that's happening in the game, but they're really, really mindfucky. Like there's one where you're like camping in the woods, and you're being stalked by like a werewolf, and it's kind of always in the grass, kind of on the edge of your camp, and you're like trying to like stay in the light, and so like it's really cool shit. So if you're into that kind of like trippy psychological horror, if you've ever played a Silent Hill game and you liked it, play Lost in Vivo. It's like super cheap too. I think it's like $7 because it's been out for like 4 or 5 years. But this is a certified fresh Carlos game. So I had to get that out there.
A Jimmy?
This is a Carlos Jimmy for sure, and it's really effective. Like I said, really effective scares. I played the whole thing on the feed. So if you like spooks, this is a good one. And I'm gonna play a few other horror games this month as well, so stay tuned for that.
Like what?
All right. Like I'm gonna play Amnesia Rebirth for one. That game comes out on the 20th, so I'm gonna be playing that. And another game called Under, which is like PT on a sinking ship.
What?
Yeah.
That
Imagine that. It's like you're trapped on a sinking ocean liner, and there's like weird fucky ghosts, and it's like ultra realistic, like hyper realistic graphics, kind of like PT or Visage or something. And that supposedly comes out on the 24th, so I'll be streaming that at some point as well. All right, how are we doing on time here? I don't know if we should. We talked a bit.
We're over an hour into the recording. We should probably take a break.
We're over an hour. Let's take a break. When we come back, Chris Davis is going to give us an update on 13 Sentinels. And then we don't really have any news to talk about this week, so I figured we'd answer a few extra viewer questions more than we normally would. So we'll do that, and that'll kind of take up the bulk of the next segment. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Before we get into viewer questions, which, like I said last segment, we're going to spend more time probably on viewer questions tonight than we normally would because we don't have any news to talk about. Chris Davis, give us an update. Last week you'd only played like an hour, but now you've played a lot, as you say, a lot of 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Yeah, I have put about 16, 17 hours into it. I'm little over halfway through with the story. I think I'm approaching the halfway point with the battle mode.
Okay.
I don't have any fresh footage. The footage is from last week.
Mm-hmm.
But let me switch over to that. Did you ever see the movie Vantage Point, the 2008 film Vantage Point with Dennis Quaid?
I missed that one.
I think so. Isn't that the one where it's like someone gets assassinated and it's like the movie is told from like 3 different perspectives?
No, not 3 perspectives, like 8 or 9.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it'll go like it'll keep constantly switching to the next perspective, and it's like a few seconds before or after a certain point in the storyline, and it's the most frustrating movie you'll ever watch in your life. Don't ever watch this movie.
All right, you've sold me on it.
Like, the movie would be logically about 10 minutes long, but no, they stretch into an hour and a half from 9 perspectives.
Oof.
Hey. It is a better review than Power Rangers on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, that's
a solid 34.
Which Power Rangers is this that you're
the new live action, like 2016 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's like an 8.
Well,
really?
I would honestly, I would watch Battle LA over Vantage Point. That's a whole other kettle of fish. But this is Vantage Point, the video game with mechs and time travel.
And waifu. Wait, are there waifus in this? Is this like a?
I mean, kinda like they're.
Are they like all in high school?
So here's the thing.
I mean, isn't Persona the same thing?
There
Or is
are
that
levels
college? I don't know.
of like
No.
Persona, and there's levels of visual novel stuff, but the story is a gigantic, convoluted, just nest of perspectives and stories that jump all over one another constantly. But it never gets
negative.
old. It never gets old.
But are you? But as someone who's playing it, and can you follow it in any real sense of the word? Like can you? If someone said, "Hey, what's going on in the story?" I don't want you to answer this question because we don't have time for it. But if I said, Chris Davis, what is happening in this story? Could you give me an answer?
I can give you at least half an answer,
a no.
I think.
That's a no.
No, but here's the thing. It sets up, because it's told from 13 different characters' perspectives.
Hence the name, yes.
And a lot of the scenes overlap one another. And again, there's also time travel heavily involved in this game. So there's 7 different periods in time in which these characters could appear. And so the sequence of events, it's not a linear progression. You're jumping around everywhere trying to get all these different characters of story events. I
have heard several people say that as convoluted and complex as this web of stories is, apparently it all comes together nicely.
It does. The interesting thing is that so you get the start of the story with the adventure mode with the characters' perspectives, but you get the final sequence of events in the battle mode. That's after all the characters have come together, and they start talking to one another, and referencing things that happen in the adventure mode, and then you connect the two, and every little connection's ooh. Oh wow! That explains that. It really gets compelling.
Are these two modes when you say modes? Are these two different modes accessible from the main menu, when you boot up the game?
Yes.
And can you play? Do you play one before the other, or can you play them in tandem? Because it sounded to me like you hadn't finished the adventure mode, but it sounds like you've already. So you are playing the adventure mode while also playing the battle mode separately.
Yeah, what I kind of do is I go and play 3 or 4 of the adventure mode perspectives, and I go and play 2 or 3 battles, because they kind of interact with one another. There's gatekeeping between one or the other sometimes. It'll lock out certain characters' perspectives, the next events in their story, based on your progression with other characters or where you are in the battle mode.
Okay. Interesting. That's definitely an interesting approach.
So it's constantly having you jump around. You really don't want to stick to the same character. You absolutely can. But when you do that, you're going to run into characters appearing in your story with later events that you don't understand the context for. So
gotcha.
I think it tells itself better jumping around.
Okay. But does it give you a good enough idea while you're doing all this of what the how should I phrase this?
What the fuck is going on?
Because it sounds like you can kind of make the decision when you want to play adventure mode versus the battle mode.
Mm-hmm.
But does it do a good enough job of telling you, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this until you've done this first, so for the sake of understanding what's happening, or can you easily make this a more convoluted experience than it needs to be by playing it in a weird order? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, so here's what I say. Number one, there is gatekeeping, like I said previously. So you'll get to a certain.
So when you say gatekeeping, that's what you're talking about. It locks you out of certain things.
Yeah, you have to complete this character's event in this character's story before you can play this next person's story. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And also, you don't unlock all the characters to start. You start to get them one by one. So you start out with Juro, and then you'll get Natsume, and you'll get other characters as you go along and progress. But yeah, there's that gated progression there that keeps you jumping constantly.
And as someone who's now played a hefty chunk of this game, are you enjoying the combat? Because the combat seems to be kind of like the weird like outlier for this game.
It is.
We talked about it a little bit
weird.
last week, but
it's not the combat that I wanted for this game. Because honestly, what I wanted was like, just standard beat 'em up mech shit, like King of the Monsters or something like that. And it's definitely not. It's more of like a tower defense mode.
Yeah.
But every level adds a new element to the game. It's constantly adding new enemy patterns, new enemies. I just fought my first boss in the game.
After 16 hours?
Well, yeah. I'm so again. I'm nearly halfway through with the battle mode. So it just introduced my first boss. But it takes a while to introduce that. It would be there's a story reason for that, but I don't want to spoil that. But it's a fair reason for doing so.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, this is a really good mystery game. There is a lot to unpack and figure out. There's a lot to explore and do in a surprisingly small context of environments and characters' perspectives.
I mean, I the one thing that I keep seeing when this game comes up on like Twitter or in Discord or whatever is most people tend to kind of agree. Like they tend to say like as fucking weird as this game is and as convoluted as it is, the story's pretty great.
It really is.
And that's the one thing that kind of makes me want to play. I mean, I also like Vanillaware games, like the way it looks and everything, but if it tells a good story, I'm in.
It's also
I'm not a big
I was gonna say it also has a pretty good progression system along with it. Like so there's a cross mode kind of currency leveling system. I think they're called like mecha chips or something like that, in which you spend this as a currency to upgrade your mechs and unlock new abilities. And then after a certain point of the game, that gets expanded further to where you can actually fully upgrade your mechs beyond just abilities and weaponry. So you can directly affect like the stats of your mech. So I think Brad would really enjoy that if he gets to that point.
Well, I have a feeling Brad's played a bit more of it. Obviously, he's not here tonight, so he can't comment on it. But I think he's played more of it. I want to. Oh, go ahead, Krispy.
I was gonna say, this is the extent of like the mechs in the game.
Yes. So the idea is that you have up to 6 mechs drop into a map.
It's more of the idea of mechs than it is actual mechs.
I mean, you don't really see the mechs.
It's like they put up a picture of it for you, which is nice, I guess.
It's a pretty picture.
Yeah,
they look cool.
I mean, you really have to think of it as a tower defense mode more than anything else. Because you drop in, there's a terminal in a portion of the map that you have to defend against waves of enemies that keep coming in, and you have 2 minutes to do so. You either do that and the terminal activates and kills all the enemies, or you kill all the enemies before that. And that's what you repeat.
It's a tower defense game.
Yeah.
Okay, like that makes sense to me, and I can wrap my head around that. How come nobody has said that? Like, why is it not marketed as a tower defense game? Like, why is it like why when you introduced this game tonight did you say this was about mechs?
Because I don't think the bulk of this experience is the combat. Like the bulk of this, it sounds to me like the bulk of this experience is everything that happens outside of it.
I just think it's interesting that like we won't say tower defense.
Tower
because
defense
my eyes definitely glaze over when I hear tower defense.
When I say tower defense, like it's when you think of a tower defense game, it's literally you placing towers on a map along prescribed enemy paths to get the maximum amount of damage over time, right? Well,
sure.
Only a couple of mechs in the game can actually set up towers for that, so it's to make it a literal tower defense. The rest is you moving them around the map strategically to gate the enemy's progression and inflict as much damage as possible.
That sounds still
But
sounds like a tower defense.
But from the overall perspective, yeah,
I
it's a tower
mean,
defense.
yeah, I get like I mean, it's got more of that like the strategist in the tent looking at the big board kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Than like
no
a
matter
mech
how you cut it.
combat game, which I mean is cool and it's great, but like I feel like just calling this a mech game really built me up for something that it's not and did both of us a disservice.
It's possible.
I mean, I do kind of agree with you there. It's not the game that I thought it would be. But that being said, I'm still having a heck of a time with it.
But the other stuff sounds really interesting. I'm actually still kind of interested in this.
I think basically just kind of keeping my as much as I can like take take the temperature, so to speak, of like social media as relates to a particular game. Just kind of seeing like blips of people talking about this game and like getting really hype about it and talking about how the story is really good. And also, I feel like this might be like one of 2020's like underdogs. Like this is the one that's gonna pop on the list and make people go, oh, that was actually pretty good and worth playing.
It is kind of weird to me when like a game is being praised and it's like it's a mech game, but that's not even like the fifth thing that people mention about it. It's just like, what?
Well, that's what I was saying, Krispy, is I wouldn't necessarily describe this as a mech game. I would describe this as a tower defense game, and every once in a while they show you a picture of a mech.
But it's more of it's a visual novel. Where
I feel like that's an easy mistake to make. You know, like I don't think I'm alone in that. Like,
I think the term visual novel gives a disservice to this game.
You're probably right. I mean,
it's more like a classic point and click adventure game, because you're moving your character all across the screen. You're constantly having conversations, but you're also analyzing the environment, clicking on things, and then getting the character's perspective on things, which will change the flow of events. Like,
to be fair, I think there's a lot of crossover between point and click adventures and visual novels. Because I mean, what is a visual novel if not kind of?
I mean, those are largely like regional descriptors anyway, right? I mean, we're kind of talking about the same game. It's just if it's from Japan, it's a visual novel. If it's from the West, it's a point and click adventure.
Yeah, more or less. Tell you what. You're gonna finish this clearly.
Yes.
I'm not sure where Brad stands on it. I'm sure he's played more of it, but let's follow up again with you after you finish it, because what I really want to know, what's really gonna make the difference for me, because as someone, I'm not a huge. Like, the mech thing doesn't do it for me one way or the other. I'm in it for the story.
Why would you say that, Nick?
I'm in it for the
story. Even if it was true, why would you put it out there so that we had to think that about you?
I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm here for the story, man. I'm here for I'm here for this weird mystery adventure that these high schoolers are going on. I know. Anyways, I want to follow up with you after you finish the story, because I want you to tell me if it comes together nicely.
I have a feeling it will. They are building up a lot of shit, and I think it's really going to pay off.
GamerBeck is starting a hashtag. Nick hates mechs.
Nick hates mechs.
I'm going to put that in my Twitter bio.
I really don't understand that.
I don't hate mechs. I just
name your favorite game that features mechs. Right.
I'm just completely indifferent,
which is the same thing.
Do y'all remember a few weeks ago when there was that news story going around? Well, about someone built like a life-size Gundam or something.
Yes, the one. Not someone.
Yeah, it's been in works for a while.
They built it's at the Gunpla factory.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. See, that makes a lot more sense. But like, I saw that, I didn't even click the story. It did nothing for me. But I was like. But I saw it. I was like, "There's so many people I know who's like probably losing their shit right now."
You know what's funny is Chai actually just tweeted me during the first half of the show and was like, "I bet Nick would be the biggest Gundam fan if it was shot like Game of Thrones," and that's so fucking true.
It probably is.
The story is fucking great, and you just don't care because it's not a CW show or some shit.
What a low blow!
Because it's an anime from the 70s.
It's probably true, though. It's probably true. Vang's trying to start his own hashtag. Nick is good at geography. I see what you're doing, Vang. Just so you'll know, I passed geography class in Bully, by the way.
Really?
I finally did it. I finally passed it.
Was it that hard?
How big
was
were
pretty
your
hard.
Did you figure out where the United States is?
Bitch, if it was the United States, I would have passed it on my first try. It's because it wasn't the United States.
Okay, what was giving you the problem?
I mean, it's basically asking you to match like flags to like specific countries.
Okay, but what were specific ones that like I don't like? That's not
Like,
a country.
well, I mean,
is that flag real?
No. I mean, it's like find like Norway on a map. And I was like, I don't fucking remember the last time. Dude, Nolan, don't even do it.
Norway?
Don't even fucking do it.
From Viking mythology, it's not real.
Like I could understand like Lithuania or something, but Norway,
dude, I don't fucking.
He didn't know where Greece was. He didn't know where Germany was.
Oh, you didn't know where Germany was? Oh, Nick.
Hey,
how are you gonna know? How are you gonna know to be on guard?
I trusted you guys. I trusted you bringing this conversation,
right.
even bringing this up to you guys. Fuck all of you. How do you think I felt? I did this on a stream.
Dude, Nick needs to fucking play GeoGuessr.
You're no.
Oh, is that that? Is
I'd
that
be
that?
utterly terrible at that.
Is that
Well, no,
that
that's the point, because you're bad, but then
game?
you learn. Yeah, Crispy. Then you learn, and you get to learn.
Here's the thing. I haven't thought about like I haven't taken a geography class since I was in fucking high school. I haven't been to that part of the world. I haven't looked at a map of that part of the fucking world. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? Illuminations like chat was trying to help, and I'm sitting here telling you, why would I don't want your help. I don't want your help.
What you're saying is that part of the world doesn't matter?
Pretty sure Germany isn't a country anymore.
How dare you, Nolan?
I mean,
you son
why
of a
don't
For an
you know
Assassin's
about
Creed fan, it's really interesting that you can't point out Italy and Greece on a map.
I got
right?
Italy.
Italy's shaped
Greece.
like a butt. A butt. It's shaped like a butt.
First of all,
Why did that happen?
That's
Hope
bullshit.
It's not a brain tumor or something. Jesus.
Well, I'll let myself out.
Okay.
Where were? I just derailed this whole podcast.
Can you find China on a map, Nick?
I allowed myself to bring this conversation up. Yes, I've been to China. I could probably do a better job of mapping out China. Oh my god. I hate everybody. I hate chat right now. I hate y'all. I was supposed to like segue into the community segment, and now I'm just mad. I don't I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But you know what? I'm bigger than that, so I'm gonna do it.
You're a big boy.
Oh my god. Okay, I didn't do this last week because we moved the feedback segment. Before we get to community questions, we moved feedback to the community segment a few weeks back, and I keep forgetting that we've moved it, so I keep forgetting to do it. So I'm gonna do it. Shut up, Crispy. You're killing me.
I just say I missed the show for a couple weeks and everything goes to shit. Let's see how it is.
Pretty much. All right, our first. This is from episode 655, so I'm playing a little bit of catch up here. And I know Brad. This comment's primarily for Brad. But Brad will be listening to this episode, so this is for you, Brad. Haste wrote, my brother played Hades during early access and said it was probably one of the best early access experiences, or best early accesses done well since they took loads of feedback and suggestions from people playing it. I also 100% agree with everything Brad said about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It really outdid itself at the time and still is a truly unique platformer experience. Jet Set Radio Future was probably the last ultra good successor to that formula of platforming on wheels. I'm just going to skip around a little bit. Vicarious Visions got a hold of the original Neversoft era code, which is now which is how they were able to implement such familiar and smooth handling from the old games. Coincidentally, Vicarious Visions did Jet Set Radio for the Game Boy Advance. Let's see. Slopdog wrote, much like the moon landing and the fall of the Soviet Union, historians will ask where you were when Microsoft acquired ZeniMax, possibly making the Xbox Series X and S an actual viable console purchase with some worthwhile exclusives. But for real, this news is really interesting to me, and I'm now considering buying an Xbox along with a PS5. What might happen in the long run with those studios within ZeniMax, how sustainable Game Pass will remain, and what this will mean for the future of Bethesda games, who knows? Right now, it's just fascinating to watch. And happy birthday, Chris Davis.
Thank you.
Oh, I missed Chris Davis's birthday. Happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you.
You did. You missed Chris Davis's birthday. You also missed.
Damn.
You also missed the whole ZeniMax acquires Bethesda thing. How do you feel about that, Crispy?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I see a lot of people treating this as like a huge tragedy. That like, oh no, this great and venerable studio is now gonna be crushed under the Microsoft heel. And that may be true. But if I'm being super honest, like I already thought that ZeniMax and Bethesda and all them were on the downslide for a while now. Like they've done some good things. I like Skyrim blew up and was amazing for them.
Well, no, Crispy, they did Skyrim.
They did Skyrim.
They did Skyrim. And then after that, they did Skyrim.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like they did Skyrim fucking 10 years ago now, almost. And like that was a good game, and they've had a couple others that came out from like subsidiary studios since, like Prey and
Evil Within.
Evil Within and
Doom.
Stop. The one I'm trying to get to, Dishonored. God damn it! every time I almost had the word, you like do. Yeah. So there was a lot of like vestigial stuff that came out that was good, but like I don't think that company was like trending in a good direction. And I think the major franchises that like Bethesda was known for were pretty like stark indications that like it wasn't working anymore, you know? Like Fallout 4 was kind of a whatever, and then Fallout whatever 76. Yeah, that's I can't even remember what the fuck it's called now. Like yeah, I don't know, man. It's like I don't know that we're really losing something that we weren't already losing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just hope it doesn't mean that we're not going to see any more things like Dishonored or Evil Within, or you know what I mean? Like those. Yeah. I feel like those were amazing experiences, and I would hate to see Microsoft gobble them up and just like do nothing with them.
You know, yeah, and part of me like hates to say that too, because like there is stuff that I really love that has come out in the last few years from them, and there's stuff like Deathloop coming up is going to be, I think, really cool, and I'm really excited about it. But I feel like if anything, Microsoft is getting the good stuff there. Like they're getting Arcane and they're getting fucking Machine Games and shit like that. And it's like they're the people doing interesting things right now, you know? Yeah. Bethesda and ZeniMax, I don't know, whatever. But that's just me. I'm probably wrong. I don't know.
All right, our next comment comes from Drew32. This is actually getting from last week's show. Drew327 wrote, and this is good. We just talked about this. I'm about 85% of the way through 13 Sentinels. I hope they pull off the ending because the story has been pretty amazing. Also, I wasn't that into the combat the first few levels, but really grew to enjoy it. Also, just hang in there on the bonkers story. I promise it will start to fall into place. But it sounds like it already has started to fall into place for Chris Davis, so that's interesting.
There's some crazy shit that happens.
And lastly, Slopdog wrote, would love to see all the live action material that we have recorded, that we have put together, put in one place, especially behind the scenes stuff. And if there ever is a chance, someday we can pray for new live action videos to get made, I would love to see that as well. Yeah, because we had a big conversation. All those videos being posted in general right now were probably because we had a conversation about it on the podcast last week. And honestly, I've been wanting to kind of put those together in on a dedicated place on the website. And it's kind of just been on my to-do list for a while. So
we should. I mean, like we put a lot of work into those. Not like a lot of work, not like too much work, not like enough like to make them like. Not like enough to make them really good, but like a lot of we wanted them to be good. A
good 8 hours worth of shooting.
Hey, yeah, I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of the fact that we sometimes spent like an entire day and like we were so angry, like an entire weekend, and sometimes we were like so angry, but like we managed to produce some really hilarious videos, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was that fucking. there was that era where like sometimes we would just haul off and make a fucking short promoting
that time,
like
like when we
that
were
was
shooting
fun.
when we were shooting our Patreon video, like when we went to shoot on location, and one of the like within like minutes of us setting up to start shooting our first scene, a police officer shows up and tells us we can't.
we were dressed as hobos, like walking on the trail on the train track, and a cop immediately was like, "Hey, you people are poor."
Where'd you get that camera?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, it was more the fact that
interesting.
it was state property. People weren't allowed on the rails, so
yeah,
as long as we
okay.
walked right next to it, we were fine.
Whatever you say, bootlicker.
So I don't know. Yeah, you're right, Slopdog. I would still love to put some of those things. Maybe make like a greatest hits page for us and just put all the videos that we're actually proud of on it. It's like our
that video we were watching before the show, the 98 month one.
96 month.
96 month with Mecha Brad and like the future. Like
I can't believe
time travel. Oh my god!
How well that video came together, considering how angry we were and how like little of a plan we had put together.
I still have all those files. I still have that original cut, the one that we can't put on YouTube.
We're all just like sitting around in my bedroom, just like, what now? I don't know. Like, and that's what we ended up with. I love it. It's pretty good.
Like,
I'm pretty happy with it.
If we were to try and upload that original video, like the original cut I did, we would be instantly copyright striked. Like, we may lose the channel because of it. So.
Just host it somewhere else.
It's just like it's the entire cut of T2 with like a few things.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there is a lot of T2 in there.
All right, so guys, thank you so much for your feedback. Again, I apologize for missing it for a couple weeks. I keep forgetting we moved it from the front of the show to the middle of the show, and I'm just, my bad. So if you're interested in responding, or if you want to chime in on anything that we've discussed on this episode, go to 4playernetwork.com and leave us a comment on the post for this episode, and I will hopefully remember to read it next week. Nolan is going to take us through some viewer questions this week. Again, we have no news to go over this week, so I figured we'd try and get in a few extra viewer questions.
PS5 teardown video went live.
That is true.
Got to see the massive PS5.
How it's how bonkers massive it is.
It's
it has holes that are designed for sucking.
Yes.
I mean, it does.
It does.
It does. That's not a lie.
It's almost as big as one of my fucking computers, and you know how big my computers are.
That is not true. Everyone's been saying that. It is definitely, like, if anything, it is like micro ATX size. It is not even mid-tier size. It is not that big.
It looks like an ATX to me.
It's a beast for a console. Let's just leave it at that.
Sure.
I really hope I can find a way to make it look good on my shelf. That's all I care about.
No, there's no way. It looks like a router. No, you can't.
Hey, what's wrong with routers? Okay, let's. All right, Nolan.
What's up?
You have some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch.
Sure do.
You're gonna take us through now.
Let's do it. First question this week from Gigamere from Kentucky. When we look back at this console generation after it has passed, what do you think we will remember the most about it?
Ooh. I mean, I feel like that conversation is going to be dominated by like all of the games as a service discussion, how that kind of came into being. And
the Fortnite generation.
The Fortnite generation, the Destinies, I feel
up.
I mean, it's true. I mean, Fortnite being the most obvious one.
You can get kind of memey about it like that, but I would say this is kind of one of the first generations where we had VR that was viable, 3D audio, which while not every game made use of that, like the games that do, it's fucking.
I think that's going to be I think that's going to be a big thing next generation.
No, I agree with you that next generation it will be better, but this is all started in the last few years. Granted, it's towards the end of this generation, but I mean, I think there's been some pretty advanced stuff that's come out. I mean,
Slade says flossing.
Sure. I mean, we can think of all the the Mimi answers.
I mean, I wasn't even trying to be memey.
Dude,
I think games as a
I think
service in general has
Fortnite.
been a huge topic of this
Yeah,
generation.
I think that is absolutely a valid.
No, Fortnite definitely is. Yes, I agree with you. I remember
Microtransactions.
the first moment we sat down at the booth and played Fortnite, and that is not at all what that game became.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It was one of my favorite games of the show.
It was great. And then look.
I'm not saying it's bad now. It's just definitely not for me.
Sonji brings up a good point. Loot boxes. Yes, that is a big thing from this console generation. Yes, definitely true.
Excessive DLC.
We are tend to be like focusing on like the big negatives. I don't want to use the word negative to describe games as a service, but you know, like all these like these big conversations we're talking about tend to have kind of like a negative tint to them. But like you mentioned VR, and I feel like that's going to be a big thing. Like
The generation that VR became
like
commercially like viable.
We didn't get hoverboards, but goddamn it, we have virtual reality.
Yeah.
And we've played some amazing games in virtual reality. Like
you said Fortnite, but I think to boil it down, like just battle royale games.
Yeah, battle royale in general is gonna be a big one.
I really think that like Fortnite has eclipsed the genre. I don't think it's much of a genre anymore.
It definitely has.
Like,
but I mean, there are definitely other games that are maybe not as like massive as Fortnite. But I mean, PUBG was such a big deal for such a long time,
until Fortnite happened.
I understand that. I understand. Yeah, but I mean, there are definitely other games that are still like massive. I mean, yes, do they have as big of a market share as Fortnite? No, but they're still fairly widely played and accepted as being good games.
Yeah,
I've never played a fucking second of Fortnite, and I'm happy with my life.
Outside of E3, you mean? Or did you play?
I've never played Fortnite Battle Royale. Let me put it that way.
Right. But like, Gigamir in chat said it, and I think this is a good way of putting it up. Like VR as a technology is something that seems so like such a crazy idea. Like even like 2 or 3 years ago, it seems so far out of reach. Like not going to happen. Like even if they did make it work, it's not going to be like no one's going to want to play games like that. There's not going to be like core gamers, quote unquote, aren't going to want to play games in VR because it's not the kind of experiences you're looking for.
VR was all just it had to be first person, and that is it. Was our thought, but then all of a sudden, the last few years of this console generation, we've started to see a lot. You can do a lot more than just a first-person shooter with VR elements or something like that.
Yep, fucking Astrobot, man, changed my life.
I mean, but it's also like look at fucking Half-Life Alyx. Well, yes, that is a first-person shooter. Like, holy fuck,
that is a damn fine video game.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Krispy, wait, Krispy, you haven't played Half-Life Alyx yet, have you?
No, I'm not a rich person like you guys.
Somebody needs.
I'm just a working class man, I'm not some big fancy city slicker like you guys. I'm gonna own houses and have wives.
I'm gonna lend you my VR so you can play Half-Life Alyx. Because damn, you need to play that before the end of the year.
You really do.
Yeah.
All right.
Although, are you a Half-Life fan though?
I will say I have watched the ending of Half-Life Alyx.
I mean, that honestly doesn't take anything away from the game. I don't think there's any story spoiler that you could see. I remember that's something Brad was super worried about going into Half-Life Alyx. I don't think there's any kind of story spoiler that you could see that would ruin the game, because I would say the story. Yes, if you've seen the ending, whatever, the story is spoiled. But to me, the story of Half-Life Alyx maybe made up 15 to 20% of what I loved about that game.
What he's trying to say is, Krispy, it's the journey.
I'm not. Yeah, that is my fucking life philosophy.
All right,
that's why I don't care about
questions. We have more questions. Next question from Chris Thacker from Kincaid, West Virginia.
Chris Thacker.
Is there anything you're looking forward to doing for the Halloween season this year? Whether it's games, a movie night, etc.
Oh, I think I might just stay in and take.
Is there a baby? Wait.
No, that's a cat. That's someone's cat.
That was the cat?
I want to see the baby.
Sorry, that sounded like I was like, wait a second, nobody here has children. What's going on? Okay, sorry. Is there anything for Halloween that we're looking forward to? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going out, obviously, and I'm not going to be handing out candy to people knocking on my door. You know what I mean? Like it's probably for the best if everybody just kind of maybe takes this year off, but that's not going to happen, obviously.
That's my opinion.
I don't know. I think a neighbor of mine might do a projector like backyard movie thing for Halloween.
That would be cool.
I haven't had a lot of haven't had a lot of socialization lately with people I don't live with, so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, I am looking for, like, I'm playing a lot of horror games on the stream, like I mentioned earlier. I'm also hoping to watch some horror movies. I was hoping to have my projector and everything set up, but that's not going to be until early November. So, you know what I am looking forward to? This comes out tomorrow. Like, in fact, it comes out in a few hours. The Haunting of Bly Manor comes out tonight.
Oh, really?
Oh, tonight at midnight, baby. It's October 9th. I am super, super, super excited to watch that because The Haunting of Hill House was an amazing show, and I can't wait to watch another one of those.
It's really good.
Yeah. I'm just gonna probably watch a lot of horror movies and play horror games and stuff. Try to get in the spirit, but I'm not gonna be leaving my house or getting into costume. You know how I knew 2020 was fucked up. So Robin's really big into like getting festive and decorating and stuff. And our neighborhood is doing like a best Halloween decorations thing contest, whatever. I was like, "You gonna do it?" And she's like, No, I'm not doing it. I was like, This COVID thing sucks. just completely turned that part of her brain off for this year.
Has she ever dressed up like costume wise as Robin?
Not that I am aware of. No.
I bet you'd be really into that.
You're probably not wrong.
Next question.
Next question from Connor from Scotland.
Oh.
Edinburgh. It's been a hot second since.
Hey, Nick, do you know where that is on a map?
Fuck off.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't
sorry.
actually.
Go ahead.
It's been a hot second since the Telltale explosion of games. What do you think would work well in their interactive story style? Maybe something... Sorry, this cuts off. I have to wrap text. Maybe something like The Boys.
We're talking about licensed adaptations, or
yeah, like what?
Like a Telltale version.
I don't care about Telltale, and I don't care about The Boys. I'm out of this question.
Okay. Have you seen The Boys?
I've read The Boys.
Are The Boys back in town?
The boys are back in town.
Spread the word around.
Yeah.
You know what?
Ba-da-da-da-da.
You know what? I've never. I think it'd be in the spirit of Halloween. I think it would be cool to have seen that formula used to tell like a horror story, and I feel like this isn't really the same thing, but like I feel like the closest thing. Well, The Walking Dead, I guess, is kind of that was definitely horror-esque. I was gonna
definitely
say,
horrible. Yes.
No, dude. No.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm
joking. It was fine.
Like so good.
Like a Halloween, like the movie Halloween, that style, and like a Telltale game where there's a little bit more story. There's some episodes where it's like the kids going to school or something, and then like, oh, I saw like something creepy last night, whatever, that kind of, and then after school is when this creepy
an interactive slapper flick.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I'm honestly surprised there wasn't a Stranger Things game from Telltale.
I'm fairly certain they probably wanted to, but by that point, Telltale was already in the shitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
the writing was on the wall by that point.
Wasn't that like going to be a thing?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
There is a Telltale. I mean, sorry, there is a Stranger Things video game, but it is nothing like a Telltale
There's a
game.
number of Stranger Things video games.
Yeah.
AJ in chat brings up a good point. An X-Files Telltale game.
Dude, they did a Stranger Things D&D starter set.
Wow.
It's
I mean, I feel like you kind of have to. It's like Stranger Things is like, right? You kind of.
I guess.
Oh, that reminds me, Krispy. Did you play the? Are you doing the early access for Baldur's Gate?
No, not yet. I was waiting until tomorrow
Good
when I get
man.
paid.
Oh,
No, I'm gonna
I thought you were
no,
holding
fuck you.
off.
I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna play it like for 90 hours in
I
early
know, I
access,
know, I
but
know.
I just want to try it.
I don't
Like,
blame you. I
I
kind
did
of want
that.
to as well.
I did that. I did that during Divinity Original Sin 2, and I think I was just on the edge of like, if I'd played any more, I would have been sick of it. But I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be fine. I'm really interested. Like, I just have to know. I have to know. You know
You know what? Illumination says it in chat.
what?
Dexter, the Telltale game. Would have loved that.
Of course you would.
Love that.
I think that would have lent itself really well.
Dishonored would be really good.
I don't know, man. I think the illusion of Telltale has worn off. Like, I don't think those games were. I don't think any of those games were interesting as games. Like there are other story focused point and click adventure games that came out around that time that were doing that like way better. Like
You're right.
I fucking like I have huge problems with Detroit Become Human, but like the actual story as a game concept was executed really well in that.
Yeah.
The horror one from Sony, what was that one?
Until Dawn.
That one, like all of those
Life
really like felt like stories that had game elements to it, and like I don't think Telltale's do. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a reason why Telltale. I mean, they kind of drove themselves into the ground by trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. But
oh yeah,
you know, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like I would love to see any one of these games that we've like these like hypothetical games we've just discussed. I wouldn't necessarily want Telltale to do them.
Right.
But I would love to see any one of those projects.
Like the Telltale style, just kind of the interactive story driven thing. So it doesn't. I mean, yes, like Detroit Become Human is another example. Just a very heavy story driven game that more emphasis on the story than the actual gameplay.
Can you imagine if somebody that wasn't David Cage made that game? Oh my god. It would have been like great.
I feel like Don't Nod is Telltale 2.0.
If Lucas Pope would have directed Detroit Become Human,
there we go.
If literally, like if Nolan had directed Detroit Become Human, like
thank you.
anybody.
All right,
I will say this: that was my number 10 game of that year.
AJ Dam Brog.
Don't you ever forget it.
AJ has a pretty one in chat. The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, I bet that would take.
That would be fun and
really well.
Pretty good. That would be great.
Vang says a Telltale game about the downfall of Telltale.
Dude, fuck that. Do like one of these 13 Sentinel visual novel style games, but make it Eva.
Oh, an Evangelion one?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that probably exists, right?
There have been things like that, actually.
Yeah,
like
some of them are supposed to be pretty crazy. Like one of the PSP games is like the foremost authority on like Evangelion lore of anything, including the show.
There are a good number of PlayStation 2 games that were,
or maybe it was PS2. I'm not sure.
Quite a bit like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next question.
Next question
from Aaron from Allentown, Pennsylvania. What's up, guys? With so many games to play, including this new generation, and personally a growing backlog, do you guys ever find yourself not sure on what to play or even overwhelmed with your own collection of games? If so, how do you decide what to play and with so many longer games out there, such little free time? Thanks, guys. Always love the show. From all of us.
Yeah,
every day.
Yes, every fucking day. Yeah. There's so many times where like I have the urge of like I should play a video game, and then I look at like every video game I own, and I'm like I don't want to play a video game.
This is too hard. I'm gonna.
It's the overwhelming feeling of having so many options that it is easier to just not choose any of them. Sometimes.
The number of times that I've like downloaded and installed like an 80 gig game on Steam just to play it like for one night and then be like, I got that out of my system. Like it's like I do that with Batman every once in a while. Like I'll download a Batman game and play it for like 2 hours and then be like, okay, I get it. You know, like and like the other part of that question of like, oh, games are so long, like how do you find the time to play it? Like my secret is I don't finish a lot of games. Like, I just don't.
That's the honest
I
truth.
just don't.
See, and my approach is I only let myself start games when I think there's a good enough chance that I'll finish it. I mean, I want to say good enough. I mean, there's always a chance I'm not going to, but I try. Like, I'm trying to typically. So like that's why honestly I don't. That's probably the real reason why I haven't tried playing something like Final Fantasy 14 or you know what I mean.
Times.
It's just,
3 times I bought Fire Emblem games going, this is the one.
yep.
3 times.
I've bought Fire Emblem Three Houses twice.
That's
I
too
love
much.
that game. I love my time with that game, but it's so hard to
really
even the idea of sitting down to play that game is overwhelming because I'm like, why would I play an hour here or 2 hours there when I know it's going to take me 90 hours to finish it? I'm never going to get there.
I know. And I think like the answer that I would give that's honest, that is like probably the most disappointing answer, is a lot of times when I have those moments of like, I should play something. Oh, this is a perfect opportunity to like dig into something I heard about on the podcast that, Brad wants me to play or some shit like this, right? And I can't like bring myself to do it. I usually end up just playing whatever like busy work game I'm into at that time, which is great for me. Like I love those games. Like right now I'm back in Destiny, baby. I'm getting ready for the new expansion in Destiny. And
it's tough doing this podcast.
yeah.
I love doing it, but the problem is I do feel guilty anytime I play a game that we've talked about for several weeks already, or a game from fucking 5 years ago that is just a game I enjoy playing, and that's kind of those, sometimes you do get overwhelmed, and I just want to fucking play The Binding of Isaac, because that's something I know I can sit down and enjoy, because yes, there are definitely times where, is there a huge list of games that came out this year that I would probably enjoy playing? Yes, and it's one of those things where I feel guilty, especially when I put off playing a game for months and months and months and months and months, and then I start it and I'm like, dude, I fucking love this game. It's amazing. But it's just hard because nowadays, depending on the game, it's hard to commit to just an hour of playing a game. Like sometimes you play a game for an hour and you've actually done like nothing. And I almost don't feel like I accomplish anything. So I'm like, you know what? In all honesty, I could probably do some like watch a couple of YouTube videos, listen to a podcast, maybe like cook and make dinner and then clean up from that. And all of a sudden, like my night's over. And I just find myself sometimes just not even playing games at all.
If I wait too late at night if I wait till like 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I could play a game now. At that point, I'm like, or I could just like go crawl into bed and like read or watch something. You know what I mean? It's just, it's hard.
I think another interesting one last bit about that is that this year particularly, like all of my video game time, like 90% of my video game time turned into social time.
Yeah.
So like I'm only playing like online games with friends now,
Yeah.
It's like if I'm playing a video game, it's like there's somebody else online and they're going to be like, hey, let's play Rocket League or let's play Destiny or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, because I want to talk to my friends who I have no other way of seeing now,
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
100%.
let's move on. Next question from Darth Paul from North Carolina. What is everyone's favorite mechanic in a game from this past decade? I would have to go for Cindy from Final Fantasy 15. It's my favorite mechanic.
Oh, I get your joke, Nolan. I get your joke.
She's so talented.
This question. No. Come on, Nolan. Dig deeper. I know you haven't. I know you haven't.
And Dragon Quest 2, one of the main ingredients you need for Dragon Quest Builders 2, one of the main ingredients you need from to build certain things is night soil. So you need to collect it from toilets after you make them.
That's not a mechanic.
That's definitely a mechanic. You have to build a structure to let your villagers use it, and then you
build a toilet. Poop
I have a question.
My toilet so I can steal your poop.
And
build a garden with it.
Where do we draw the line at mechanic? Like how specific does it have to be be considered a mechanic?
You want to hear my answer?
Yeah.
I really like the stamina system in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like specifically how it ties into like your ability to climb anything, literally the only thing gating you out of like certain geographical like places is how much stamina you have. And I like my original answer was all of Breath of the Wild. Like, was the whole thing.
There we go.
I had to kind of narrow it down a little bit, but
that makes me think of Shadow of the Colossus, and I wonder if they pulled it from that, because in Shadow of the Colossus it was a similar thing.
Yeah.
You could climb as long as you had stamina.
And you had to like grab and like hold on, and that
exactly.
would like,
and the thing was, and that there was that secret area that was at the top of the tower that there was
no one could climb to,
because you didn't have enough stamina. And you had to beat the game like 3 times to get your stamina bar high enough to even get up there.
Yeah,
I wonder if the inspiration from that. Yeah,
that's really cool.
What is up there?
I really like. I think that's like a very.
And I can't remember what else.
I think that shows a bit of like creative discipline on the part of like the game designers, because it's like them saying, my world is consistent enough that like you can go anywhere, and I have enough confidence in my like very natural kind of hands-off abilities to gate where you're going, like by giving you a resource that I manage like how quickly you get it. And not like, I have no idea how to stop you from breaking my game by doing whatever you want, so I'm just going to make it all like contingent on progress or whatever, you know? Like you can't go there because I put an invisible wall there, and then later when I want you to go there, I'll take it away, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's just like, you just don't fucking see that. I don't know. It's cool.
I've got 2 things that come to mind, and this is why kind of I asked how specific are we getting with what counts as a mechanic, but like hunting in Red Dead Redemption 2 specifically, that whole system is mind-blowing to me, and just how you're how you have to like actually look for animals with better quality pelts, and like you may see like, and you know, in most other games, in Red Dead 1 you see an animal, it's like, oh, there's a deer, I want a deer, I'm going to shoot the deer. In Red Dead 2 it's like, what's the quality of pelt, like is it a 2-star or 3-star? I really want to only seek out the 3 stars, but like you gotta have to seek them out, and you know, if you don't kill them in one shot, they're wounded, and you know, you have to follow the blood trail to find them. Sometimes they run into the woods, you know. It's a super deep system that I adore, and I love
Nick,
that game.
Have you ever played Monster Hunter?
You know,
I think you'd like it.
You punk bitch.
I think a good mechanic, literal mechanic, from even the past little over a year, strands from Death Stranding. The whole you building things, interacting with other people's worlds. Kind of the journey effect that you are doing something that is physically changing someone else's world, even though you're never actually interacting with them. That was always such a cool concept, and it made me want to build things to help other people. Like whenever I got to,
which was the whole theme of the game.
Yeah, I wanted to build, you know, roads and interact with like the physical machines and objects, because I knew me doing that would help people. I wanted to put up zip lines, because not only would it help me, I know someone else could use my zip line. And I always got, even though it was like helping me in the long run, I always felt good when I get the notification like, oh, so-and-so used your road, or so-and-so used your zip line. I'm like, oh yeah,
that's a good answer.
I did something for someone.
It was also really
charge
nice
them for that.
Yeah. It was also really nice in the fact that you would come back day after day, and there would be something new going on. There would be a new road that somebody else constructed. There would be a new zip line going on. Ooh. There was a level of player-made optimization for routing that was somehow made into a multiplayer-friendly thing that was really cool.
It's unique. Prince of the Universe has a really good answer that I completely forgot about. The grab in Half-Life Alyx, the flick of the wrist to pull things, fucking amazing. I wish I could play every game like that. It is amazing. Unless y'all have any other answers, we can move on to the next question.
Moving on. The next question from KNC Cito from Illinois. Do you guys have a go-to karaoke song? If not, is there a song that you think you could use as a karaoke song?
No, I don't do karaoke. So the answer to that question is no. But Krispy, I put this on the doc because I figured Krispy would have an answer for this, and he's shaking his head, or nodding his head. So,
"Kiss from a Rose" by Seal.
That's
my back. And actually, I've got another one. So like that's more of like one that I'll start with, and then like later on, if I sing again at a karaoke night, and it's like between some higher energy songs and going for a more chill vibe, then I do Turn the Page by Bob Seger.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Dude, fucking, oh my god. What's his name? So Tim Schafer on Twitter the other day blew my mind. You were talking about Seal, Kiss From a Rose. He was like, he just random tweet. Like, I just discovered the other day that the lyric in Kiss From a Rose is not Kissed by a Rose on, wait, what is it? Kissed by a Rose on the grave?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was just like
On
hundreds of like, wait, yeah. People were like, it's not? What? Just like hundreds of comments.
What they
blew my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just if anybody out there wants their life wrecked.
A big go-to for me is Piano Man by Billy Joel.
Oh,
it's a good one.
Gimme Shelter.
Fuck you. What was that?
I was gonna say Gimme Shelter.
Fuck is Gimme Shelter?
The
Rolling Stones? The Stevie Ray Vaughan or
the Rolling Stones.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Brightside. That's a good one.
Oh, King of the Road is a fun one. Trailer for sale or rent. Rooms to let 50s. I can't do the whole thing, but
I was like, I'll just fade. We'll end the show there, let it fade out to Krispy doing karaoke.
All Star. That's a good one.
There we go. That's a good one.
All Along the Watchtower.
That's
All right, let's move on. Final question this evening from Shannon from Colorado Springs. A lot of words here. Hey guys, it's been a while since I wrote in, but here's a question for you. I've recently been playing Hades, and it's quite possibly my game of the year. Personally, I haven't played a roguelike game since maybe Bastion back when Xbox Gold was a thing, so I don't normally gravitate towards this kind of game. I've told friends about how much I love it, and they all seem shocked to hear that I like it more than games like The Last of Us 2, which was my most anticipated game of this year. Has there been a game in recent memory that you absolutely loved and even consider game of the year, even though it's not typically what you play? Thanks.
Oh, yeah. In fact, those are the games that I tend to think about the most. The past few years especially has really had a lot of those for me. Subnautica changed my life and got me hooked on survival games. Like I started playing The Long Dark because of how much I love Subnautica. I bought and I'm considering playing this month too, The Forest, which is like a horror-based survival game, because of that game. Also, Return of the Oberdin. Probably never would have touched it if it weren't for you guys,
yelling at you,
yelling at me, threatening me to play it. Like Outer Wilds, man, these are games I probably never would have touched, and they're all like game of the year or top 3 material for me.
I think it's one of those things where when you gravitate towards the style of game that you like, it might not make as big of an impact because that's not new. Does it make sense? Like I've played Assassin's Creeds, dozens of times. The new Assassin's Creed game coming out is what, number fucking 10? So even if I play this new one, Valhalla, while I enjoy it, probably, is it going to be my number 1 game of the year? Probably not, because it's not going to be that unique to me. It's not going to be that new. It's when you, like you said, Oberdin. The first time I played Papers, Please. It's those unique games that are maybe out of your wheelhouse. I had never played like a farm life simulator until I played Stardew Valley, and like holy shit, like that made such a big impact on me. I think it's those games that maybe aren't in your wheelhouse that make the biggest impact, so they become like your favorite games of at
Absolutely.
least that time period.
You brought up Assassin's Creed, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, even if I played Valhalla and loved it, I think my days of putting Assassin's Creed, as my game of the year are probably over, because I just don't. I can't imagine what that game would do to make me love it that much to make it my game of the year.
Hey, you want to hear something fucked up?
Sure.
Assassin's Creed had a game on like Nokia flip phones.
What the fuck?
It's that.
Oh my lord!
I remember when the first one came out. Yeah, that was a fucking while ago. What was that? 2006, 2005?
Well, 2007 was first Assassin's Creed.
I definitely played.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely played 2, like in college. I think.
It's a fucking
I don't remember.
series.
I mean, didn't like the first iPhone come out like 2008, 2009, something like that?
2008. Yeah.
I think it was 2008.
Okay, so like at that time, like not everybody was doing the bricks, so
Right.
a Nokia model makes sense.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions or answers? The gaming wise, games that are kind of out of your comfort zone, or I mean, we've got
There's a game that I played this year that I know is going to be very, very, very high on my list. That I would consider very far outside of my comfort zone. I'm not going to say what that is yet because it's getting close to the end of the year. So
I never played bad games before I became friends with Carlos.
You should play Lost in Vivo.
I might. That looked kind of cool.
Tell you what, he has a surprise Jimmy to play later this month. I can't wait till he does a stream.
Wait, Carlos gave you a Jimmy?
No, I gave him a Jimmy.
Oh,
and
gotcha,
it's going to be
gotcha.
an excellent stream.
Block thanks. That's a good point. Well, I mean, I kind of already talked about that, but yeah, Frostpunk's another example of a game that I never really played that style, and yeah, fell in love with it. I don't know if there's gonna be any other games that I still haven't played the DLC for Frostpunk like that, but I think I almost don't want to play other games because I feel like either maybe I'd get disappointed or it wouldn't leave as big of an impact. So it's like I like to play that one game in that genre and then just leave it. And maybe I'll revisit it in like 5-6 years.
There we go. All right.
That's all the questions this week.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for all the questions. If you're a supporter on Patreon or Twitch, you can ask questions any number of ways. The main way, if you're a Patreon supporter, there's a pinned post to the top of the Patreon activity feed with a link to our Google form that we use to take these questions. Also, if you're in our Discord, if you're a Twitch subscriber or Patreon supporter, you should have access to the supporters channel, and there is a pinned message in that channel that has the link to the form. Just go there whenever you think of a question, drop the question in there, and we will get to it. We do bounce around a lot, so we may not necessarily get to it on the next show, but we will eventually get there. So now, let's wrap up the show with a 4-player minute. I don't know who's going to go first. Brad's usually the one to go first. Brad's not here. I don't know what to do. I'm losing it.
Chris Davis.
Oh, God, me?
That's a... Yeah. Yeah, we were like, fuck no.
Throw him under the bus.
Well, it usually goes Brad, Nolan, Chris, me, then you.
I mean, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
right.
you're the wild card in this whole situation.
Yeah, fuck it. Chris Davis, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire.
Okay.
It's you first.
I mean, I was getting Snaz ready so I could do the time limit.
Snaz. No, Maggie.
That's the tool I use. That's
okay. Go, Nolan. You go.
I'm ready. Whenever Chris Davis tells me.
all right. Go.
My hype. Season 2 of Fall Guys just came out. I'm pretty excited to try out the new maps and new modes and stuff. So, what's up, Krispy? Did you just find that out from me?
No. I was playing it before the show. It's fun.
Oh, nice. My sweat is sweat and kind of, I don't know, I just reinstalled Windows. So my computer's moving a lot faster. I fixed a couple of issues I had, but I'm worried that I definitely lost something in that reinstall, and I've forgotten about it. My thank is I finally finished building my new tabletop. So I'm done doing that. It probably took me a good 4 months to do it just because I was working so slow, mainly because my garage is very hot. And then my fuck you is going to go all those out there who still support the Empire after everything they've done.
Nicely done.
There are some people that will argue.
Yo,
that
this
the
isn't
Empire
a
did nothing wrong.
politics podcast.
I'm talking about
That's not even
Crispy.
That's not even about politics at this point.
Yeah, video games.
Thank you, Nolan. All right, Crispy.
All right.
You're up.
Sure. Shoot from the hip. Here we go.
Go.
My hype is for my sweat is no, actually my hype is for next month, November 10th, Destiny New Light, the big expansion that we've all been waiting for that maybe will make Destiny a good game. Maybe. We'll see. I hope so. My sweat is that like it might not. Who knows? Actually, there's a Halloween event going on in Destiny right now that is kind of broken, and that sucks, and it's kind of disappointing. My fuck you to this week goes to dude. I don't fucking know. There's too many people that deserve it. Just the fucking world, man. Just fuck off. And
just leave me alone.
Just leave me alone. And my thank you goes to you know what? I do like, as much shit as I talk about EA and their practices and the fact that I don't like that they have Star Wars. I do think that making this game as a $40 product, releasing it, and then saying that's it, we're not like supporting it, like we just did this. Boom. That was. I want to see more of that. Let's see more of that.
100%. All right. Perfect.
Crispy's start of his 4-player minute was like at a track and field event, and the starting gun goes off, and he just falls on his face. My hype. Fuck.
That part of my brain doesn't exist anymore.
Chris Davis, you're up.
All right. And my 4-player minute starts now. I have 2 hypes this week. My first hype is for 13 Sentinels. I hope I put it across on the podcast that I'm actually really enjoying this game, and I really want to see where they go with it. There's a ton of ways they could like draw the story to a close, and I really can't wait to see how they do it. My second hype is for Star Wars Squadrons, despite the fact that Krispy spoiled a plot point for me.
It's not. It is not. It's on the fucking website for the game. Oh my god.
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, if you watch my top 10 games of all time video, you know why I'm really hyped for this game.
That's not a plot point.
My sweat goes to Sony because they announced today that they're doing some changes for the PlayStation Store. Mainly that they're getting rid of the online website store where you can buy PS3 games, Vita games, PSP games, as well as avatars and themes. They're getting rid of that. You can only buy them on the consoles now. And my fucking goes to Viacom for the GameSpot and all those other layoffs that are going on.
I did it twice last week.
You bought PS3 games on the
I bought I bought Castlevania.
You bought avatars
on the app
for PS3.
No, for PS4.
Okay, well, you can still buy PS4 games on their site.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's
never mind.
Just PS3, PSP, Vita, and like avatars. Like, I'm fine with them removing that because I'm fairly certain that like 90% of their users aren't doing that. So I understand not wanting to support a service that like most of their users aren't even using.
I mean, but my worry is that this is a prelude to them just starting to delist stuff. Like they'll eventually end the service for all those are the platforms, and then those servers, those consoles will essentially be dead.
Of course, at some point they're going to fucking remove it. They can't have them. I mean, at some point when there are 40 PS3 users coming online a month, they're probably going to stop that service. It's eventually going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's ask the real question here. How long has Nolan been in Big Sony's pocket?
Oh, that's a good point.
That's too funny.
Dude, like I said, it's one of those. I used my PS3 fucking last month. Like, I still use it, but I'm fine not having to buy things via the website.
All right. Was that the end of your 4-player minute?
Yeah, I'm well past that.
Okay. All right. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype, movie related. There's all kinds of news coming out about this new Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland that's making it sound like they're about to go full Spider-Verse. Doctor Strange is going to be in it. There's all kinds of weird shit. And there's all these people talking about like, oh my God, they're going to bring back Tobey Maguire. It's going to be... Dude, can you imagine if Marvel's just like, fuck it, let's do our own Spider-Verse?
Oh, that'd be great, but I don't think they'll ever do it.
It'd be incredible. I mean, like... I know they feel like they kind of need to put, like they don't have Iron Man in there again, but like Doctor Strange implies a lot of shit.
I really hope the only lesson taken away from Into the Spider-Verse wasn't, our movies need more Spider-Men. Like,
that's probably true.
That's
but
terrible.
Hey, it could be cool. It could be cool. My sweat goes to that game Under that I keep talking about. One, it's really hard to find on Steam because your game is called Under. And if you look up the word Under on Steam, it comes up with like 100 different things before you see that game. Also, the release date the best. I haven't been able to find an actual release date. I think I saw a mention somewhere it said October 24th, but it still says Halloween 2020 on the listing. So I'm hoping it actually comes out this month because I really want to stream it. My thank you goes to Burnsy. He gifted me. He gifted me on Steam Remothered Tormented Fathers, which he said he played and really enjoyed, so he wants me to stream it. So maybe I'll try and find some time to stream that. It's a horror game. And my fuck you goes to me for letting myself start watching Supernatural again. From the beginning.
Piece of shit.
From the beginning.
15
Back when it was a Monster of the Week show.
15 seasons?
Yeah.
Like, really?
15 seasons.
No,
Just,
no.
there's
man.
like Jensen
But hey.
Ackles doesn't need that much money. Come on, like.
Hey, that show, despite having some real ups and downs, has some real ups and some really great episodes. So I don't know. It's almost over. I got nostalgic for it, and then I realized it's been too long since I watched the last episode. So I was like, I'm just gonna start the whole fucking thing over again, because fuck me, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because fuck you.
Yep, it's happening.
The most I will
happening.
permit you to do is to watch the end of season 5. That's it.
You have no control over me, and also that is the best way they could have possibly ended it.
You're
I
not
can't
my
imagine. I can't imagine the series finale being better than the season 5 finale, but we'll see in like a year when I finally get to it. Anyways, guys, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. 4playernetwork.com is the website, of course. Join us again next Thursday night for another episode. We'll be talking about more video games and things. If you're interested in being a part of the community, go to discord.gg/4player. And of course, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. Anything y'all want to say in closing?
Bye.
No.
It's like Game of Thrones and Star Wars taught you nothing.
It's true. I learned absolutely nothing. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. Good night.